UNPAVED, Sean Salisbury here. We're bringing authentic, real stuff to you. Hardcore opinion.
Sean Salisbury, former NFL quarterback.
29-year-old Sean Salisbury, his second start as a National Football League quarterback.
Hey guys, welcome into Unpaved. I'm Sean Salisbury. Segs will join here in just a second. You get him at Adam G. Sager on Twitter. You can catch me at Sean Unfiltered. Obviously, like and subscribe to this show that I think, daily, I think you're starting to get a feel for why you listen and tune in and also make all these great comments. It's great to have you on, and there's so much to discuss today, and superstars in college basketball that I don't think we can call superstars because they don't show up and play the amount of minutes they're supposed to. The trade talks, and I'm excited to talk about this, that 2 years ago, a player in this league, we didn't ever even entertain this. We just said you're a wacko and a weirdo for even suggesting that we would consider trades. We're going to hit that. We also start, Segs, I'll bring you in with, as one of the, we like to say flagship show, because we talk Trojans, we talk Texas, we talk all the big stories in the NFL and baseball and basketball and college hoops. It doesn't matter. We got it. But we start here. I don't think just the Trojan world, Segs, is starting to take a little notice maybe and get, as one mentioned, one college football commentator who's really good at his job mentioned, and I've said it on here before, you better be bullish on the Trojans in 2026. Some will disagree because you got to prove it and do it before you talk about it. I've heard a lot of talk coming out of Trojan country from me and a bunch of others. The key is now we're at the point of the more they extend this, now we're to 12 teams being able to get a playoff, soon probably to be to 16, and who the hell knows, maybe 24, which I don't like, which we've discussed, but I will tell you this, the pressure's not going down on the head coach, the Trojan program, the #1 recruiting class. All you've done is now off-season posted your score with hires and recruits. Now you got to put it up or shut it up, and the Trojans are facing that now, but there is a reason to be bullish on the Trojans. Segs, welcome in, man.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I mean, this team, we talk about it every single day, and they have the ability, they have the pieces, even with what they're losing in Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane and those wide receivers that made Maava so good. I mean, they've got talent right behind those guys that'll step in with 5 stars and 4 stars and big time.
And they've got money to spend, Segs, too. Plenty of that.
To spend in the transfer portal. So, yeah, I mean, this team should be making it. But Joel Klatt of Fox Sports was talking about the Trojans, and here's what he had to say about the team this upcoming season.
It's time to get a little bit bullish on USC. USC is going to lead my stock up teams. And this is a team that has the experienced quarterback coming back, and we've talked a lot about that here on this show, and I think that we all now understand that's what it takes to be successful in college football. So you've got Maava back, and Lincoln Riley obviously lost Danton Lynn, the defensive coordinator, who I was a big fan of, but he brings in Gary Patterson. I really love the idea of having Gary Patterson here for Lincoln Riley. He built a winner at TCU. He's a defensive-oriented guy. He's going to handle the defense. He's got high energy and a wealth of experience that Lincoln can use and bounce things off of. I think that is a win. And then here's the part that I think is actually more impactful. So we can talk about the quarterback, and certainly that's probably the most important thing. And obviously filling Danton Lynn's shoes is big. But how about getting the entire offensive line back? See, now we're talking, because now you've got a quarterback and an offensive line and the entire backfield. So you've got what I consider to be at least the potential of the best running game that Lincoln Riley has had since the OU days. I think that they could be a dominant run team. And if you've paid attention to anything that I've said about USC, and more specifically Lincoln Riley, over the last couple of years, is this: when Lincoln decides to be a run-oriented team, they are very difficult to beat. They were undefeated at home last year, undefeated at home. And so their ability to run the football will allow them to develop wide receivers and at least replace, maybe not completely, but in some aspect, Mekhi Lemon on the outside. And listen, I just trust Lincoln Riley and his offense for the wealth of experience that he's had every single year being able to throw the football. They're going to have somebody to throw the football to on the outside. There are talented guys there. Plus, they had the #1 recruiting class. They did a really good job in the portal. Some young players on the defensive line, in particular, Jakeem Stewart, that I really like. So again, stock up. I'm going to start with USC. This is a team that I'm a bit higher on. Schedule is difficult. There's no doubt. That's the only reason that I'm questioning this placement. But this is Lincoln's most talented roster. And again, it's good where he needs it to be good, that offensive line and the backfield.
Segs, where have you heard the comments about physicality? Always going to have perimeter people, bringing in a veteran coach on defense, and handing the football off and running it. Well, you're right, and Joel's 100% correct. One is, it's not just Lincoln to throw things off of; it's Lincoln to learn from Gary Patterson. Gary Patterson's been in the game longer than Lincoln Riley, and knows as much as Lincoln knows how to attack defense. Gary Patterson knows how to defend guys like Lincoln Riley. Hence why he's hired here. We've mentioned that. Secondly, and not to be diminished or underplayed, but maybe we even underrate what Joel and I have stressed is, excuse me, is the importance of continuity. I've said this a lot of times on NFL teams. You can't just have 2 good linemen, even if it's 2 great ones, an offensive line, and 3 average ones, and win. Give me 5 solid ones as opposed to 2 first-round picks, and I'm going to beat you more than you'll beat me up front, simply because defensive coordinators are way too experienced, and defenses see blood in the water when they know where the weakness is. And in truth, another year of experience and getting your offensive line back is a monster. And when Joel had mentioned about, this is the best he's had running the football backfield-wise since he was at Oklahoma, one thing, make no mistake about, as good as Oklahoma's been running the ball over the history of time, that Bud Wilkinson and Barry Switzer and Lincoln Riley, I got news for you. The school Lincoln Riley's at knows how to run the football in their past better than anybody does. O.J. Simpson and Mike Garrett and Charles White and Marcus Allen and Reggie Bush. I would say that it's pretty easy to say that when it comes to the GOAT at that position, the USC Trojans have it. Now it's just a matter of that cat right there buying in to run it first, throw it second, throw it first, run it second, but never abandon the run, dominate the line of scrimmage. It's a good place to start. The recruits, Segs, when replacing receivers, when people say, oh, it's not that hard, it's hard to replace star receivers. But when you get a #1 recruiting class, when you have a veteran quarterback who knows how to upgrade them like they upgraded him last year, I would suggest it's easier to find perimeter home run hitters at wide receiver than it is physical stuff up front and running game. So they're on the right path. And not only just bullish, if what they've done in the offseason matches what, a recruiting class, changing coaches, a commitment to running the football and dominating the line of scrimmage, Lincoln's got the finesse shit handled. Now it's the other stuff, but he's equipped with it. He's equipped himself. The school's now equipped himself with get some veterans in the transfer portal and some young guys, dominate the perimeter, which Lincoln's always going to be as good as areas in the country of knowing how to attack edges. The key is, can you play downhill and attack and dominate the line of scrimmage? There's nothing that they've done this offseason that has made them weaker. Nothing. Other than lose a couple receivers that are really good players. But if you said, Sean, they lost 4 of their front 7 guys to the draft, 5 of them, and they're really young there, I'd be concerned. If you said, Sean, their offensive line, they've only got 2 guys back and they're not deep, I'd be concerned. Said, Sean, they don't have the talent to run the football, I'd be concerned. All of those have been answered already. Now it's basically going to come down to the coach's commitment. Then when you go 3 and out 4 times in a row and you're not running it very well, not to abandon it, because what ends up happening, the more your perimeter's good, the more difficult you spread the bandwidth of the defense and you spread using the vertical and horizontal width of a football field. Now you can play downhill. It will be incumbent upon Lincoln to take all this as a head coach and say, I got to get out of my comfort zone. And his comfort zone is throwing it and perimeter beating your brains. And the problem is the other team scores too. That changed a little bit with the previous coordinator, and it'll change even more with Gary Patterson. So, Segs, when you go down the checklist of assets and excuses, the assets far outweigh any excuse USC can make. If there's excuses at the end of this year, there'll be changes at USC. I think this is as bullish as I've been overall on Lincoln's team since he's been there. And it's because of those things we mentioned: physicality, run game, a defensive coordinator who, while the guy before him, Coach Lynn, was a hell of a defensive coordinator, you're just bringing a bigger wealth of experience for a guy who dominated a lot of times as a head coach with lesser talent at times, and is now and took time off to refresh his game. And now he's the defensive coordinator, and the cupboard's full. Gary Patterson's going to have more athletes at his disposal than he's ever had as a head coach or a coordinator at any point in time in his career.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And, we've really focused on the defensive side of the ball with the addition of Gary Patterson. And he mentioned, Joe Klatt mentioned Jakeem Stewart, who will be, in that first round discussion coming for the 2027 draft. You also have, I think, somebody that can really take that physicality up a notch, especially when you're talking about the defensive backfield, and Kennedy Urlacher, Brian Urlacher's son, who played at USC last year but transferred from Notre Dame after his freshman season. He's the type of player that hits. You come across the middle, you're looking for Kennedy Urlacher. So there's plenty of players on this team to get them to the playoffs where they need to be for Lincoln Riley.
Well, there have to be, Segs. They're going to have to be. In the schedule, I'd say, you know what? I don't care about the schedule. I really don't. I get, road games and how difficult it is. But and I get what Joel's saying and agree with him. It can be difficult. But how many times have you gone into a season? Last year, if you had LSU, Clemson, South Carolina on your schedule in the SEC, okay, let's just use that as an example, or any teams that played those three. Going into the season, what was your thought process? Dominant, get your ass kicked. Oh, we got this on our schedule among Alabama, whoever it is that's on the schedule. Were any of those teams in contention for a national title last year? Going in, we thought domination. First round, all three first round picks at quarterback. All three are skilled. Not that they had awful seasons. They just didn't have the season we went in. So by the middle of the season, guess what we were all saying? Hell, didn't even take the middle. But by about week 3. And it even took the Longhorns a minute to get going in their side of the schedule before their quarterback got hot. So there's 4 teams that didn't end up where they wanted to. Texas obviously got into the mix and going, but none of those teams played the way they wanted, nor early on for Arch got better going. But the other 3 didn't live up to the expectations they had, neither did their teams. So when you go into the season, we overrated them on the schedule. So if you're USC looking at the Big Ten schedule, how do we know that what we see, just because it's not? I've seen it with my Trojans. You go and say, damn, you got to play us. And then you get your ass kicked by them. Us gets kicked ass by them. And then we realize, well, maybe USC's not as good as we thought this offseason.
Right.
And weaknesses are exposed during the season. And those teams I mentioned had weaknesses in the SEC. There will be teams that we highly overrate and highly underrate next year when you're a month into the season. So I've never taken into account, and I've seen teams with a last place schedule still not make a playoff in the NFL, still not get in, because things change. Somebody gets hurt, the backup's better, the coach does something, you make a few changes. And good teams where 4 guys get hurt, before you know it, Baltimore is not a threat anymore. At least last year I'm talking about. So it'll happen in college football. So I don't give 2 shits about the schedule. It's going to be tough anyway, no matter who you play. If you're in the Big Ten and SEC, it's brutal no matter what.
Right. And maybe tomorrow that's something we can do when we talk USC is we can look at the schedule and say, okay, this sets up here, this sets up here. And, I think just quick glancing at the schedule, while they have tough games with Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana and stuff, we can look at it for tomorrow. All right, let's jump to our Houston Texans talk. I think this will be fun. I'm going to be the GM of 3 teams. Sean is going to be the GM of the Houston Texans. And we're talking CJ Stroud here. We're talking, can I convince Sean to trade CJ Stroud? Just like we've heard that teams are going to be calling the Houston Texans to say, hey, is CJ available? Can we, offer you this, this, and this? And would you listen? I think it's something that will happen this offseason. So I'm going to go with 3 teams, maybe in a couple weeks or next week sometime. Maybe I'll have 3 more teams that I throw at Sean in this exercise. But let's start with the big one. Let's start with the one that you've talked about, that you brought up. I'm the Cincinnati Bengals GM. I call you, you call me. We're both interested in a trade. I've got Joe Burrow, you've got CJ Stroud. We've seen a trade similar in the past couple of years when 2 quarterbacks are switching teams. And neither one had won a Super Bowl. Both had been to the playoffs. One was with an organization for a while, couldn't get over that hump, got his brains beat in. So let's start here. I want CJ Stroud. This is for Joe Burrow, obviously. Joe Burrow to the Texans. But here's what I want from you, Sean. I want CJ Stroud. I want your 2026 first round pick, which is 28th overall. I want your 2026 third round pick, which is 69th overall. Then we're going to go to next year's picks. I want your first and third again next year. You get Joe Burrow. What do you say as the Houston Texans GM?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is and let me preface this for Texans fans, as a guy who's been or for any fan that's listening. And it's not, I don't need to qualify this, but I'm going to make sure you understand. And I think anybody that listened to me in local sports talk radio and heard this show knows that I think I hold CJ Stroud in high regard. But it's, when I say high regard, that regard has a little bit of shine off it after the last 2 years, just by nothing more than as a guy who I like to consider myself that knows a little bit about that position.
Right.
That I've seen stuff creep in that doesn't lead to superstardom and Super Bowls. Let's say, does that mean you should quit on him and that he's hell no, the guy is a good player. Even at times this year when he struggled, I know we saw the play. He's in those same games, he'll go through a stint, Segs, and that's my problem. Go through a stint of explosive play. You're like, damn. But I also get some damn, where's he throwing it? And damn, what happened to the rookie year of consistency pushing the ball down the field? And where are his head nice? All the little things that I like to think that their own coaching staff and they self-scouts going through as well.
Right.
And if you'd have said this to me 2 years ago, I'd have said, blasphemous, he's untouchable. There's about 3 or 4 on my roster, and he's one of them. He's not untouchable anymore, so I am taking your call. Now, Segs, one more time. So we're interested because you're a bad GM if you're not listening to what other people are saying.
Yep.
Even if it's your untouchable, he may become touchable, because when we say untouchable, what happens if you're giving me 9 players for Ohtani and they're all all-stars and money? I'm going to listen. Right. If you don't, you shouldn't be a GM. Tell me the people you're offering me again, Segs.
All right.
You're offering me Burrow, and
I'm
what do
offering
you
you
want?
Burrow, and that's it.
Yes.
I need CJ Stroud.
This is for the people. I wrote it. I know what you're offering me, but tell the people one more time.
2026 first round pick, which is the 28th overall pick this year. I need the 2026 third round pick, which is 69th. And then I need your first and third round picks again next year.
Well, the first thing I'm doing, and I think Joe Burrow, if you're getting through 3 or 4 quarterbacks in this league that you think are better than Joe Burrow, you ain't been watching. Now, the caveat to that is Burrow's continued battle with health, with whether it's this injury, a knee, a foot, ankle, those things that you got to take into account, as you do with any player. Pure production. First of all, I'm laughing at that, Segs, and I would, if everything being equal, I'm a bigger Burrow fan than I am Stroud, because I've seen more returns on that investment so far. One's making huge money, the other is going to get paid by somebody, and it may even be the Texans. And if they pay him, they believe that he's a superstar, not a star, a franchise superstar.
Yeah.
Okay. But first off, if you'd have told me Burrow had been healthy his whole time and I'd seen the same results, I'm listening to that. But you're not just giving for that. Joe Burrow at this stage is not worth my quarterback, 2 number 1s and 2 number 3s for just him. Then I'm going to ask you, okay, do you want to throw in your second? You want to give me your one of your receivers? Do you want to give me an offensive lineman? I can't, or swap picks or something. I can't just give you all that for Burrow. I think I'm losing out on this because of the injury factor. The injury, not production factor, injury factor. So I would have to counter with taking away that second-year first-rounder, making the third a conditional second, or with Stroud and a first-rounder, I get it, and even a third-rounder this year, or Stroud and a first-rounder this year, a conditional picks third-rounder that could go to a second if Burrow plays 75% of the snaps. But that's too much for me to give up, knowing that I'm not quitting on Stroud. He's no bust. He's a player. And I start to think about, well, if my line's better, and then I look at me as a Texan, I say, well, where's my weakness? Offensive line. Okay, but I'm not exactly going to the best team in the league to get offensive line help, with Cincinnati.
Right.
You get my point?
Yeah, you as the Bengals GM, you don't want any of our offensive linemen.
Right. And as the Bengals GM, you asked high, but that trade proposal you set there, I am countering with, I'll listen when you got something better for me in return. It's not worth it to give you, basically, in essence, I've given you 3 first-rounders, 2 third-rounders, which you expected sometime to be starters. I'm getting you a quarterback who we thought is a franchise quarterback. I'm giving you a quarterback and what it should end up being 4 other starters on the team, 2 first-rounders and 2 third-rounders. And you're giving me a guy who is a great player but been banged up and coming to an offensive line that isn't exactly the best in the league. I'd have to turn that trade down. Now, when you ask me again as a GM, say, well, Sean, I'm really interested in Stroud, and are you interested in Burrow? My answer is simply, I'm more than interested in Burrow, but I'm not interested in Burrow at that price. Okay. Now, you want to take away 2027? I'll listen. Now, Burrow for Stroud, a third rounder to a conditional second rounder, and maybe a player. Other than that, I can't do all that. But because if there were clean injuries, I'd listen. That's too much to give up for my quarterback. And now you're going to end up having to pay my quarterback anyway if you're trading for him, or I got to sign and trade him for you.
Yeah. And now I took that trade and basically just mimicked the Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford trade. That is exactly the trade that the Lions or that the Rams sent to the Lions for Matthew Stafford.
Who's better in year 3 of their career? Stroud or who do you think's a better player in year 3 of their career? Not now, but in year 3. Stroud or Goff? Who would you have taken, Sig?
Well, I mean, Jared Goff
in Chicago,
Bowl, right?
Was it in his 3rd year? Was it year 3?
I want to say I would have to look back. Look back.
So,
maybe it was his 4th.
And then they got rid of him because they thought he was the reason they didn't win a Super Bowl.
Yes.
And so I think Goff's a great player, but I'm saying at the time, if I told you after his rookie year and after Goff's Super Bowl year, I'll even give you that. Who do you think was a better player, in truth?
I think they're very similar.
Would agree. They can buy a little time with they're better, more athletic than you think, but both are pocket guys and playoff play action. They're not big RPO guys, right? Both need good running games.
Mm-hmm.
So the point is that, and then the argument at their career when you traded for Stafford, and Burrow's a younger version of Stafford, no doubt. Yes. Both pocket guys. Both have taken their teams to new level. Even in Detroit, he took his team to a new level. If Stafford would have had better players the whole time, he may have gone deeper there. But Stafford, with some help from his friends, because he had some good players on the perimeter, they put up a lot of yards, and then Stafford matured and got better. It's intriguing, but I would have to get something back for you, Segs, not just Burrow. There would have to be some kind of incentive for me to make it. That's a lot to give up, and I understand why you mimicked it, but Stafford didn't have the same lower leg injuries that Burrow did at the time I traded for him when I was the Rams. But it worked out for both, more for the Rams. They got a Super Bowl, but Goff's had that offense at the top of the league, and they've built around him since, and he's become a franchise player, yet he's in a long list of guys that they've come up short with. Or that have come, Allen, Goff, Jack, a lot of the guys who haven't been to a Super Bowl, Herbert, but it's tempting, but I think that's too much to give up for a guy that's not a hack in CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud still got game and could turn into a great player in Cincinnati if I traded for him, or in Houston.
If I'm the Bengals GM, I say, good luck paying him $60 million a year.
And if I'm responding to you, I'm saying, don't worry about that. I'm not paying him $60 million a year, and he's about to find that out.
We'll see. All right, and then one more. Let's start. We'll save the other one, and I'll make a few others for next week. Let's do.
All right, that's just when you got to spend a lot of time on, because my affinity for Joe Burrow, man.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to make sure I get the right one here. We get.
And Burrow, Segs, while you're looking that up, of the guys that you think would be available at quarterback this offseason, that not named C, just outside of the Texans that you would, Burrow is without question, not even a no-brainer at the top of that list. You would have people standing in line. And the advantage for Cincinnati is you could probably deal with 4 or 5 other teams for Burrow, and you have a little more leverage than the Texans do. Trading for a guy that you're going to instantly have to turn around and pay $60 million to that hasn't proven it for 3 years, just for one and sometimes, I think more people know that Burrow probably gives you a better chance right now.
All right, let's just go a straight CJ Stroud for picks type deal. This is with the New York Jets. So I'm the New York Jets GM. I call, I say, hey, I heard you guys are listening for offers for CJ Stroud. Let me throw one at you. Let me just start by saying this. You're not going to get the number 2 overall pick. That's too rich, right? Okay. How about I offer you the 2026 second, which is 44th overall. I'll give you our 2027 first. So, you know, we're hoping we make a little bit of a run, and maybe it's a mid first round pick next year. And then we'll also throw in a 2026 4th round pick this year. So you get a second and a 4th this year and a 1st next year for CJ Stroud.
Well, Segs, I'd like your best receiver. Can I have him? You want to throw him in with that deal?
So Garrett Wilson, you're talking about.
Can I have him?
I'm going to need you to throw in some draft capital at this point now, because we
I'll
value
throw
Garrett Wilson as
yeah.
a you know, a mid second round pick to a late first round pick.
Okay, I'll give you if you throw in Garrett Wilson, and I give you that won't secure the trade, but you throw in Garrett Wilson for me, and I'll throw in a 3rd round conditional 2nd rounder depending on some metric or stat or games played in that. So Garrett Wilson, your 2nd this year, which is the 30-30. Is it the top 44th. Of the 2nd rounds? 44th. Okay. Garrett Wilson, that, and what do you give me? You give me a 2027 1st round pick?
Yes.
And what else?
And a 2026 4th round.
So 4th round, 2nd round in 2026, Garrett Wilson, and the 1st rounder in 27. And I'm giving you CJ Stroud and a conditional 3rd round pick in 27, that if he plays a certain amount or reaches whatever metric we decide, that you get a 2nd rounder in 27. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Okay.
And I will, first of all, if I'm CJ Stroud, I'm taking 2 weeks off and quitting if you trade me to the Jets. Okay. I may not go.
Especially without Garrett Wilson.
That is far more appealing, bodies-wise, for me. Now, I still haven't addressed my offensive line trouble. Hopefully, in my draft,
and you're also left without a quarterback, unless you're just happy with Davis Mills.
Right, and that's my thought process is this: I don't really like this class this much. I'm not sure we're not going to get Mendoza. Moore stayed in school. I'm not the Klubniks and those guys of the world. I'm not sure they're ready to play. Davis Mills is that guy.
Yeah.
So I can get by. I can win. I can get into the playoffs with Mills and this defense and adding Garrett Wilson to it. Now Mills isn't Stroud, but I can get by when next year's class is far better. The more appealing is the quarterback, the Burrow thing, but the more appealing as far as me keeping bodies, not mortgaging my future, and getting by with a defense that. I believe if Davis Mills was the quarterback for the Texans this year, they would have made the playoffs. I don't know if they'd have won anymore, and they wouldn't have turned it over 10 or 11 times at the position, but Stroud's a better player. But Mills can hold that down. I think he's better than people think, and next year's class is better. I'm more apt to want the Jets gig, even though there's not a quarterback, and I don't want any of your quarterbacks, thank you. Even not the Jets gig. I'm a little bummed about this year. You're only giving me a 2nd rounder, but I understand why you're not parting with your second, the top 3 pick in this year's draft and next year. I would be more apt to take that one than I would the Burrow one, just because you're asking for 2 1s, a starting quarterback. You give me a starting quarterback that's been banged up and been to a Super Bowl, and you also get two 3s, and I'm only getting 1 cat from your place. There, I'm getting a Pro Bowl wide receiver to add to what we already got, and we can be dominant on the perimeter. I'll take that 2nd round pick or our 1st round pick and find a lineman. Davis Mills, and there's some who think Davis Mills is better than CJ Stroud after this year, which is a little blasphemous and overrated. I can get by, Segs, and next year's class of quarterbacks better, I would consider that one, not without Garrett Wilson. You throw in Garrett Wilson, I'm considering. If you just gave me those picks, I'm not interested. Plus, the Jets, the Jets also know they're going to have to pay all that money to CJ Stroud. That one's more appealing just because of the bodies I don't have to give up.
Yeah. Now, if you're talking adding in a Garrett Wilson, I think, the Texans would have to come in and be offering, better than
a straight up second round pick. Yes.
Yeah. Let's say
without conditions on
it. The Texans have pick 38, so there's some different iterations of that trade because the Jets.
I would still be concerned with that. I would still be into that, Segs. If you said, we'll take your 2027 second round pick for Garrett Wilson, let's just put that over here on the side. And now basically you're also we're giving you Stroud and you're giving us a first round in 27. I don't think the Jets are going to be much better, Segs. So that's if you're the Texans, you're anticipating a top 10 pick. You just are. And now you've given me a second rounder this year, which can be you get a lot of starting linemen that play in a second round or a lot of starting players. That's more feasible for me for all the reasons. Yet I wish that you'd offer me something like that from Cincinnati, lesser players you want back to get a guy who's been banged up some, but a great player in Joe Burrow. I can survive a year with Davis Mills if I have to. I would be more tempted with the Jets pick simply because of the bodies I don't want to give up and the assets you're asking for.
All right. I like it. I like the fact that we're close to a deal with the Jets and the Texans. And maybe next week, one day, we'll figure out, we'll do a couple other teams. Maybe we can amend the Bengals trade and maybe work something out for Joe Burrow. I
wouldn't say quit on me, Segs. I'd say call me back if you think you got something else to offer. Do you have any interest if you're the Texans, Segs, and Trey Hendrickson and all this? Add to an already great defense. Is it worth your while to add
I don't know if you're the Texans.
There's no room for him with your two edge rushers, right? And all that money to add a third edge rusher.
Hunter is being traded for something, and you're just
or unless you work the trade and moved him on like they do in baseball to another place.
Yeah,
but they don't do that in football.
So complicated in football with the NFL and the contracts and everything. It's hard to do that. So.
You see that more in an NBA trade.
Yes,
is what you see that
100%. All right, before we talk Bears moving to Indiana, Georgia.
What?
Football players.
Are you cussing at me, Segs? Are you cussing at me?
I might be here in a few minutes. Georgia football players getting arrested. I mean, that's a damn near weekly thing. And then we'll talk about Darren Peterson in Kansas. But first, tell me about Augusta Precious Metals.
Listen, all right, it's all about Augusta Precious Metals, your premier gold IRA company. Let me say this real quick, and I'm not trying to be dramatic here. The other day, I'm at the grocery store buying the same stuff I always do, and I'm looking at the bill like, come on, man, higher than last month again? What is this, Groundhog Day? Same groceries, same bills, and it's been happening for years now, a month after month after month after month, just higher and higher. You start asking yourself, how high can this keep going? Because it's not stopping. Stop, please. And that's what really worries me about retirement savings. It's not just like the number on paper. It's what the money can actually buy, the value. If groceries and bills keep climbing, that same retirement savings doesn't go nearly as far as it used to. You can have the same balance and still be falling behind. That's why a lot of people with real retirement savings are diversifying, part of it, into physical gold, not just to chase returns, just to protect what they've already earned. I looked into this myself, and Augusta Precious Metals stood out big time like a flashing neon sign. No pressure, no scare tactics, just straight education. This stays inside your IRA or 401k. No taxes, no penalties. It's Augusta Precious Metals. Get the free gold IRA guide at SeanBuysGold.com. Don't miss this great party. SeanBuysGold.com or text Sean, SEAN, to 35052 or click the link in the description below. It's a difference maker. It's a life changer, and 2026 can be your moving year towards understanding gold and precious metals as well as silver. It is SeanBuysGold.com. That's SeanBuysGold.com. SeanBuysGold.com. Augusta Precious Metals.
And thanks to our show partners at Augusta Precious Metals, as always. All right, Sean, I mentioned it. The Chicago Bears moving to Northwest Indiana. It took another step.
This can't happen, can it, Segs? How close are we there? You're in Chicago.
It's not as close as it seems, as they're making it out to be. I think if I were putting odds on it right now, I would still say it's 75-25 Bears staying in Illinois in Arlington Heights. The Bears own this massive part of land in Arlington Heights, Illinois, where the racetrack used to be. It used to be a horse racing track. They've got this big plot of land that they want to build a stadium, build the infrastructure around it with bars, restaurants, clothing shops,
An
all that kind of
venue,
stuff. Yes.
It's not just a sporting venue.
Yes. You could attract Super Bowls there, put it that way.
Right.
That's what they want to build in Arlington Heights. Well, Indiana's been making some noise recently, and now how much is it just some leverage being used by the Bears? Maybe some, but Indiana did pass a bill today unanimously in their state government that says they can start the process of even looking for the right plot of land in Hammond, Indiana. They can start putting together bids. They can start putting together all the paperwork to get the stadium moving. Whereas in Arlington Heights, all that's done. It's just between the state and the team right now, and they're working how much are going to be in taxes, how much are the Bears going to pay. It's still a negotiation between the Bears and the state. I think the Bears are just setting something up just in case. Now, Hammond,
leverage
Indiana.
play too, Segs, obviously.
Yes, leverage play. Now, Hammond, Indiana. I've been there multiple times just in these past couple years because my daughter plays travel volleyball, and there's a big venue there that hosts tournaments. Hammond, Indiana, how do I put this nicely, is a shithole. It's a shithole town. Yeah, that's as kind as I can be when it comes to Hammond, Indiana. There is absolutely nothing there. I don't know why NFL teams would want to travel to Hammond, Indiana. I don't know why fans would want to travel to Hammond, Indiana. And don't give me the bullshit of, oh, well, Hammond's only 19 miles from Chicago, whereas Arlington Heights is 25. I don't care. What they would build are completely different. And what they're going to build in Arlington Heights is a state-of-the-art. Now, yes, it'll be state-of-the-art what they build in Hammond. But again, it's in Hammond, Indiana. Arlington Heights is suburbs of Chicago where it's easier to get to, in my opinion. Now, for me personally, Hammond would be much better.
But this ain't Reggie Hammond from the
right.
Top Show with Nick Nolte, dog. This is Hammond, Indiana.
I want you to expound on just your reaction when you heard me say it both times that this can't happen. Why do you say that?
I don't think there's a way in hell it happens, Segs.
Yeah.
First off, let me just go from a point of, I don't want to say ignorance or maybe uninformed from my vantage point. You guys get buzzed there every day, like we are about a Texans facility. They're going to get a new, listen, don't be surprised when the Texans, their facility, they're using and I know people will trip out, that Astrodome, Segs, that becomes a spot where it's moved a little bit and they upgrade it and put stuff around there. We already know that they're already scheduled now and headed towards 85 or so acres in Bridgeland, which is about 20 minutes from me, out in the suburbs, not far from Katy. For anybody who knows about Katy, probably most famous for their high school football. So Bridgeland High School, Bridgeland, not far from the high school, and where it'll be located, Segs, with restaurants and high-end bars and all, hospital, Memorial Hermann type, where everybody, and all those are partners with the Texans. And the Texans are probably going to end up paying financing zero amount of it here. Do not be surprised if that's the case out at their new practice facility, all Texas, all time, bring out suburbs, but still keeping the stadium where it's at. But NRG, talk about a shithole around there. You better start to build restaurants and upgrade it, or a new stadium won't mean a hill of beans because you'll only get them there, 9 times a year. Okay, so there's that. With Chicago, Segs, from an ignorant football fan, and not ignorant, but ignorant on all the finance and stuff that goes in with the NFL. Can't the NFL say, no, we're not having 2 teams in Indiana? Don't they reserve that right because of the territories and location? That's one that they're going to have to deal with. If you're Roger Goodell and you decide, boy, you better have big balls, brother, to decide historic city when it comes to sports, historic city, period, Chicago, historic fan base, Super Bowl champion, some of the best, all those things come into play. You might as well just take Wrigley Field and move it out to Hammond.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which isn't going to happen either. Hence why people like at Wrigley Field, upgrade a few things with seats, and at Fenway Park, when they talk, well, we moved it, they left those there because you know what? It'd be a major sin. You're on your way to hell if you decide to screw with those two, and people have tried. So getting through, I would think, two teams. I can't imagine the Colts want this. I can't imagine the Colts are okay with you being, regardless of the proximity being, and even though one's just a few miles over the border, Segs in Indiana, the other one's still got an Illinois address.
Yeah.
And even then, however you decide to do it, listen, this would be one of the great miracles you could ever pull off if the Bears actually, the NFL, everybody approved it, and they moved in there, 2 teams in Indiana and none in Chicago. And it's a Bears in the historic franchise, and where the current stadium's located, not far from it, but like everybody's doing, the entertainment complex, like you see a lot in baseball, right? Say, yeah. Or Jerry with baseball and football out in Arlington, and Atlanta out near Truist Park, and St. Louis near Bush, all those. I can't, Segs, this would be the equivalent, and I know it's going to sound crazy, a lot hyperbolic, but remember when the Russians took care of their business? I mean, when the U.S. took care of the Russians and we won a gold medal? Do you believe in miracles? To pull this off, and this threat, and to everybody agree that that's the best place, Hammond, Indiana, dude, you might want to. Chicago will never be the same, and I can't imagine those great fans. And I can't imagine they're leaving Chicago. Now, when I say Chicago, I'm talking about counting suburbs as well, the state of Illinois. I can't fathom that the NFL have let it. Maybe they'll. I mean, it feels like they can control when a guy should sell or shouldn't when they go through that moral issue. So I would imagine, boundary-wise, there's got to be a way that somebody says, Indiana Bears, that's not happening. And plus, just the name of it sounds weird to me. And if I'm the Colts, I want no part of it. Yeah. No, I want no part of it. So I think it'd take hell to freeze over, Segs, before the Chicago Bears, and maybe money's bigger than hell. Most of the people who do stupid stuff end up that place anyway. So for me, and a prayer for the Bears, that they don't have to even think about doing this for their fan base and the rest of it. I don't think it's going to happen. And on a futures bet with Kalshi, if they put it up, I'm just telling you right now, my future is there's no way in hell they end up playing in Indiana. That's how I feel.
And one last thing, the Bears did have a meeting yesterday with Governor Pritzker of Illinois, and they had a 3-hour meeting. And by all reports, it went very well. And there was supposed to be a vote this morning, but on a bill basically to help the Bears move forward with Arlington Heights. The Bears brass asked basically the Illinois government to hold off, to basically push the bill just a little bit so they can amend it even better for the people of Illinois and the Chicago Bears. So that should be coming up. And as long as that continues to happen and we hear talk of it in Illinois, I think Illinois is the overwhelming favorite to have.
I'll also say this, Pritzker can't run his own nose. I don't know how he's running all this, dude. Yeah, that's a whole different story, those things, right?
A whole different conversation when it comes to all this dumb shit. But
no doubt.
Moving on.
You're gonna that uniform's not gonna say Indiana on it moving forward. Right. Let's just put it that way. It's gonna be Chicago Bears.
Staying in the NFL, Rashee Rice, his longtime girlfriend and mom of his 2 children, filed a big-time lawsuit against Rice, accusing him of choking, strangling, scratching, hitting, and headbutting her over a nightmare 19-month period. Dakota Jones, who said she was pregnant during many of the alleged assaults, is seeking more than $1 million. Rice's lawyer has released a statement on the allegations. On October 9th, 2025, well after the parties' relationship had ended, Miss Jones stated under penalty of perjury in a sworn affidavit for non-prosecution that Mr. Rice and I had a verbal argument, but he did not punch me. We will allow the legal process to run its course, and we will have no further comment at this time. As we always say, Sean, we never want to put guilt on somebody. And we don't want to put that guilt on Rashee Rice, even with the allegations, because the allegations are disgusting.
And they have changed, right? Segs, the first time, wasn't that the significant other who's the one who said, no, I wasn't struck, and now they've changed the story?
Yes.
Or is it a separate incident that we're talking
honestly,
about? We don't know. It's a little bit skewed, right, Segs?
Yes.
Right, okay.
But
fair enough.
Rashee Rice has a history. And
That's
this
right.
is where it starts to get difficult for the NFL and NFL teams. When you have a history, if this pops up and it's just the only thing and everybody else says you're great, and then you let the legal process run its course and you're found not guilty, you didn't do any of it, great, clean slate.
Punish the person who blamed you, punish the person
Yes.
who accused you that if it was false accusations, no doubt, 100%.
When all the other stuff that continues to happen with Rashee, I mean, he was just suspended, 6 games this past season for the car incident where he was racing and crashed. And I mean, it's not a good look for Rashee Rice, no matter what, because what happens in this country, it's the court of public opinion. And when you have story after story after story come out about you, there starts to be a lot of smoke where there is some fire.
And the court of public opinion right now, Segs, makes more decisions than the people that should be making decisions. That's number one.
For sure.
They are influenced. There is no doubt. Secondly, the two teams you want to play for, that you get a little bit of that you're going to get second, third, and fourth chances, and is the University of Georgia. And I don't mean this negative. I think second chances and third matter in certain situations, but you want to know where the University of Georgia and Kansas City Chiefs. Andy is a fixer. He just is. And in the repentant process, Andy wants to rehab him. He just does, Coach Reed. And that's not a negative thing. He's a chance giver. You want me to go through the names? Mike, Vic, in Philly. This is just a few. Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill, Rashee Rice. We've seen the movie. And Segs, I've always said to you, more now than ever, and I've tried to be like this all the time, before I bury somebody with opinion, I'd like to know the facts. I could care less about being first and did you see our opinion? And we got clicks. Sean and Segs says, I don't give a rat's ass about that. What I care about is, one, first off, start with history. History says that Rashee Rice has some turd in him, okay? Some bad character in him. Talent, once again, he's playing, why Segs? And he's a really good player. The talent, I stand on headache first, talent second. That's not always the case in league. It's talent first, headache second. I can fix the headache with some aspirin, but man, I can't find talent like that all the time. But that's where the decision-making just on the club and the NFL have to come up with those. There's enough history to say you understand why you'd push this forward and check it out. Now, depending on, was that one incident, two incidents in the 18, 19 months, why change your story if they're referring to the same incident? It is something different. All those things that above my pay grade and the legal system's going to take care of. I know this. There's enough here for me to think that it may not be the extreme one way and it may not be the extreme other, that it sits somewhere in the middle, Segs. Some will say money grab. Some will say the guy's a good guy. And he can be a great teammate, still be a turd when it comes to females. And I'm just going to make it so I don't know the answer other than if he's guilty, he should be punished to the extent. If she's lying, her ass should be sitting in jail. And it's simple. So those are things, those people that are around it on the he said, she said thing have to know. I know this. You'd be a smart league, a smart team, and a smart decision maker when it comes to judge, jury, whatever is involved in this. NFL, Andy Reid, the Kansas City Chiefs included. If you always err on the side of protecting women and children first. That doesn't mean favorite to the point if they're falsely accused, you still get them. But you got to go in from protect those who can't protect themselves first and then work down from there. And if the person who couldn't protect themselves falsely accused somebody and tried to ruin his life, then she deserves similar punishment on the other end. But there's enough here for me to say it's hard for me to believe that Rashee Rice didn't do anything. That there's something to it. You got to pursue it to the fullest extent and find out, because when you decide to choke and stare in somebody's face and you're choking them out, that's a whole different level of evil. I don't know him. I don't know her. We just, the facts we have. And even if you think you got facts, the he said, she said could be far worse for him. And she could embellish it. I don't know. And I know I'm giving you a lot of, but Segs, I don't know how else to do it unless I'm a lawyer working on my client and I got visual or evidence. My gut is that the NFL will jump in, and his problem is here. He's already been guilty of one problem. So the hit will be even harder. And if he does get hit and there was a suspension or something happened, it won't just be 6 games. He may not be playing football anymore, at least in Kansas City, if he's not careful. But they got to do their due diligence. My initial thing is that they're somewhere in between what you're reading is the truth.
Yeah, for sure. Staying with the legal side of things and something that's just kind of become the norm in Athens, Georgia.
And keep your hands off women and children. I don't care what they say to you. Just, let somebody, you just can't, at the short of if somebody's killing your kid and it's a woman and you got to protect that person who can't, I get it. Keep your hands off them. Start there. That's a good basis. Don't touch them. Okay. And if you think you're starting to lose control, get your ass out. Okay. You can't. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Segs. It's just, I don't know why we can't learn from other people's mistakes and people keep repeating this shit. I just don't get it. Protect them. If you did it, then you know what? I have no sympathy for either side. If the blaming side is guilty or if Rashee Rice is guilty of this, I have zero compassion for him, especially when it comes to that's not a accident, Segs. That's called a decision, and they are different.
Yes, 100%. And the reason people can't stop or can't learn from people is because, as we know, people are stupid.
And we also coddle stars, Segs. We coddle stars. At times we shouldn't.
Way too much.
Always.
Way too much. Going to Athens, Georgia, 2 Georgia linebackers, Chris Cole and Darren, going to get this name wrong, but Akinagban or something along those lines, were arrested on charges of reckless driving and speeding in Athens. Going back to January 2023, so 3 years basically, this is 32 arrests for the Georgia Bulldogs. It's the 6th arrest since November. At some point, this has to start coming back and landing on Kirby Smart's
no question
back.
About who you're recruiting, the character you're bringing in.
This is too much because, and again, and this is part of we coddle stars. We coddle coaches. We coddled Urban Meyer for how long? For having fucking Aaron Hernandez and the Pouncey twins and Percy Harvin and all these guys that were getting arrested for, serious shit when it comes to Aaron Hernandez and
no doubt.
The Pounceys were looked into along with Aaron Hernandez and plenty of others. And he's had his troubles at Ohio State. We coddle big time college football coaches that win national championships way too much because 32 arrests since January of 2023 is just way too much. And if I'm the Georgia chancellor or if I'm the Georgia school president, I'm looking at Kirby Smart and being like, what are you going to do about this? Because this is ridiculous.
Yeah, Segs, I think there's no question that we can make the argument over the last decade or 7, 8, 10, whatever, however long Kirby's been there. This has been one of the great programs on the field of any there is. This isn't like you hope Georgia's good. A bad season for Georgia is losing in the quarterfinals of a playoff, right, Segs? That's who they are now. That aside, you're 100%. Heck, I can even argue we roll out the red carpet and protect coaches at times as much as we protect stars when they win, because we don't pay. We brush under the carpet. Well, we're winning, so it'll go away. Yeah. But it's an alarming number of players you're talking about. Right. Our football office has got to now devote, if you're Kirby Smart, and you do have to look at, because you say this about parents, it doesn't fall far from the tree. You say this about, when people are allowing stuff, it's like, well, wait a minute, you keep allowing it. Don't we got to start to look up the ladder instead of look down and say, the people above that are making these decisions, you're the one recruiting them. You're the one going into their house. You're the one talking to the parents. You're the one talking to the kid. And look, if none of them had any character issues, then you're going to have to be harsher with those who came in and did something stupid that they didn't learn from the other 33 problems we've had on campus. So it does fall. Listen, eventually, if your quarterback's really good and he starts throwing picks, what do you end up doing, Segs? And you start losing, you fire the coordinator or the head coach, and you replace the quarterback. Same thing here. Eventually, it's going to get to the point, and we may be past it, where it's like, and I love Kirby Smart, but if you're not paying as much attention to this, but continue to pay attention to that, there's not enough rings to go along, because we've seen it happen already. More lives will be lost in this, Segs, if this continues. Meaning an innocent victim because you're driving, whatever. We've seen that this is a problem at Georgia. This isn't an incident. This is a problem, and it's becoming a problem every year. Matter of fact, We shouldn't be, but we're getting to the point. Oh, like we said at the beginning, Georgia, what a shock. Happened again. As much respect as I have for the program, what do we got to do, Seg? Start recruiting guys saying you're not allowed to drive? If you get caught driving, we're kicking you off the team. I mean, are we getting to the point that says no cars allowed? Go get those cars that drive you, like in Arizona and Scottsdale and Old Town, where they drive themselves, whatever the name of that shit is. I don't know the name, and plus, unless they're sponsored on my show, I ain't giving them the name anyway. Sponsor the show, and I'll tell them, get one of those cars where you don't get to drive, or get an Uber every place you go. It's getting to the point where their thrill-seeking at Georgia is stupidity. And Kirby Smart, I don't know where else to go, Segs. Is you're going up to say, okay, where does it stop? Where does the buck stop? Doesn't it start there? And then you go back to saying, if you're recruiting a kid with history of problems, maybe you should recruit somebody else. You got to fix it. And they're not doing a good job of it off the field at Georgia, sadly. Yeah. It's a hell of a program.
I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy that you just look at the college landscape.
What a great place, too, Segs. What a freaking great place. Yeah.
But you just look at the landscape of basketball and football. We have Kirby Smart, who has 32 arrests for his team over the last 3 years. And then we got Tang at Kansas State, who gets on his players after a game in the media and is fired for cause. Yet Kirby Smart still has a job making, I don't know how much he makes, but probably $12-ish million or more.
Counting bonuses, yeah.
One of the highest paid coaches in all of college sports.
And in pro sports too.
Problem. Yeah.
Highest paid coaches anywhere.
Period. Yeah. And he's got all these problems, and not a word is said about, you never hear about Kirby Smart when any of the analysts or anybody else talk about this. They never mention Kirby Smart's name.
You know what I feel of? Because Kirby's in your face, right? He is. He gets. You see him in interviews. I think a lot of analysts are afraid of him. Yeah. I do. I think Kirby right now has won so much and changed the course. And Mark Richt did a good job. We know what Vince Dooley did, but Kirby's got them playing at the top level every year. I think he's bigger than the program right now, and I think that's part of the problem, Segs. And like I said, I love Coach Smart, but I also think that there are people that I think are a little worried to call him out, because you're going to call, certain shows are going to be there. They're going to win. So you're going to have to talk to him and interview the coach. And Kirby, I think, is a good scorekeeper. He knows what they're saying about him, as all good coaches do, even though they'll admit, I don't watch that, yet they know everything that's being said. Great program, but it's got to change, because maybe that part of coming there is that you've got to go to the Richard Petty School of Driving. And that's where you can get all the speed out of your system. Because we kid, but it is no joke.
These kids can go drive at something.
Go-karts, dude. I got a go-kart. Build a go-kart track in your 80-acre spread in your backyard, and let the fellas come over, and you guys can drink soda and eat pizza and race go-karts like we all like to do. And then when it's done, grab your ass and Uber home. Yeah. It's out of hand, and it's been out of hand for a while now at Georgia when it comes to off the field.
Well, staying in college sports, Darren Peterson last night was awesome. Had 23
for 18 minutes.
Yeah. He was 7 of 12 from the field, 6 of 10 from the 3-point line, 3 of 4, had 2 rebounds. Of course, he had no assists, but he didn't have any turnovers. But like you said, in 18 minutes, had 20 of his points in the first half. Oh, just about 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes into the second half, he hits a 3, as we see here on this video. He hits a 3 to give him 23 points, turns to Bill Self and says, "Get me out." And I mean, it's crazy. But before you react, listen carefully, because the volume is kind of low here and we couldn't get it up. But listen to Bill Self when asked about Darren Peterson last night after the game.
You guys have kind of had this a couple times now where Darren has a really strong first half and then isn't able to go the rest of the game. Just how have you sort of navigated that, and what challenges does that maybe present?
Well, we've had it more than a couple of times, and I didn't anticipate that tonight at all. I thought he was good to go, but obviously we only got 18 minutes out of him, and that's disappointing, because he could have had a really big night. But one thing about it is it's happened often enough that our guys have learned to play without him, even though that's not the way we want to play. But that's certainly something that we're not unaccustomed to, right now.
So as Bill Self says, he's done this multiple times where he's taken himself out. We see it all the time. He's only played in 15 of 26 games for Kansas, and a few of those games he barely played. He also sat out against number 1 Arizona because of the quote flu, even though, I mean, him and Bill
This
Self
was because of cramps.
reportedly-
We didn't see him again. Yeah.
Yes, cramps. But yet
Yeah,
his
my
agent
ass.
is real close to the bench all the time. I mean, this is just flat out a kid who knows he has to go to college basketball for a year because he can't go straight to the pros. So he's just basically doing whatever he can to show what he can do, and then he gets the hell out of there. If I'm a Kansas teammate, if I'm Bill Self, and I have a reason why Bill Self can't do this, and we'll talk about that in a second. But Sean, if you're Flory Badinga, the big center there that's really good, if you're one of these other kids on this team, a teammate of Darren Peterson, what are you thinking when he hits that 3 and then says, "Get me out"?
Coward, a basketball playing coward this is an ultra and doesn't care about his teammates. This is
100%.
an ultra top shelf level talent who is soft as a wet paper towel and a skill set. And the only reason Bill Self plays him is because he's just gifted. If this guy was the 10-point a game scorer, he'd never get off the bench. He never get off. It goes back to, and the example it sets, and I know as a teammate, you're like, well, let's help him. Save it with the cramps. I got a good idea. Then start hydrating 2 days before the next game. I don't want to hear this. To me, it's a guy saving himself for NBA basketball to go get paid, gives you enough to tease scouts and people that are watching, and then goes. And I love that Bill Self said our guys are used to it, so they're prepared to play without him. If I'm a teammate of his, Segs, he's getting side-eyed all the time because I know I respect his talent. I don't respect him as a player on the court. His talent, to me, pales in comparison to what I keep seeing. And I've tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, but this happens all the time.
Yeah.
And people are saying, I mean, his own coach says, you know,
it's a trend now.
There was nothing that told us this was going to happen, and they survived it. I'll tell you what it is. And Bill, I love Bill Self, but Bill's at the point in time where he is, I think, sending the message that we already know we can't count on him for more than 20 minutes a night, and we may not even get that. But when he's good, he's really good. The problem is, nobody's even talking about his skill set at times, Segs, because we're too busy talking about that the dude is a malingerer and tired. You know, just the hamstring just it's, oh man, I'm malcontent with my hammy. It just kind of lingers along, and it's just like, dude, it's always something wrong. Yet put the ball in his hand, the guy can score at a rapid pace and destroy you. The problem is, I can't count on him. And Segs, it's going to be a really awful thing when they get into a game that matters in the tournament or their championship, when championship week, that he gives you one of those and you're playing in a close game and he bails on you with 18 minutes to go in the second half and you get beat by 2. So he's playing because he's a star. You would not tolerate this from any other players that were anything less than a dynamic talent. But I can tell you this, the lingering of softness is bigger than the talent right now. And that kid is talented.
Let me throw this at you. And you're right, the fact that he is a star. He was, top 5 recruit in the country. Everybody knew he was really, really good coming in.
He can score from any. The guy's a great offensive talent.
But I believe 5 years ago, this happens with Bill Self at Kansas. I don't care who that kid is. Let's say it's Andrew Wiggins back in the day. He went to Kansas, top recruit. Let's say he was doing this. 5 years ago, Bill Self would have said, or with Andrew Wiggins many years ago, would have said, "You're gone.
Yes.
You're gone. You're off the team. You're gone. We're not dealing with your bullshit." But with NIL and the contracts these kids sign, the boosters would not allow Bill Self to kick this kid off the roster because of the money he's been paid. And even if he's playing,
they want ROI on it, say.
Yes.
So it's basically like a guaranteed contract for the player, like they give him in the NFL. Can't move.
I think that is the reason why Darren Peterson is still playing and Bill Self is kind of handcuffed here by the boosters.
You can count on him. You think you can count on him in the tournament to give you 35 minutes a night?
No. I wouldn't let him play 35 minutes, even if he wanted to. I'd be like, no, your ass can't play at Oklahoma State, but 18 minutes when you're kicking ass, you get 15 minutes in this NCAA tournament game.
And Segs, how about this message? to see how he responds. How about we don't start you? You'll be our 6 or 7. We'll get you off the bench to be a scorer, instant offense like we used to see with
You want to play
Vinny the
15
microwave
minutes?
job. Yeah, you're going to play
Be the
15 minutes.
seventh, eighth guy.
We'll mix in 7 here, 5 there, and we want to make sure that you can hydrate on the bench.
Yeah.
While we're
So you get those
playing.
fucking
And so when you
cramps.
go in, you're pretty good. And the hydration didn't just start the morning of. You got to start to hydrate, as they tell you, a day or two before. You tell the 12-year-old kids all the time. This kid is a malcontent in the wrong way. And you talk about saving yourself to go get paid. I couldn't coach a guy like this, Segs. It'd be hard for me because I'm sitting here looking at the enormous talent thinking all he's doing is using us for a few minutes a game, that the end result doesn't matter unless it's got NBA and cash on the end of it. And I don't know him. All I go about history, dude. Well, your history is telling me this is who you are. And I got to believe if Bill Self knew this about the kid in high school, that he wouldn't have recruited him. Or you get that that says, oh, I can fix him. He wants to come play. This guy doesn't want to play 30 minutes a game. He's afraid to play 30 minutes a game. And I just don't get it because all indications say he's good to go.
I'm just telling you, NBA teams are going to look at,
I wouldn't draft him.
Great scorer.
So what?
Has 1.5 assists per game, has 1.6 turnovers per game. So he's turning the ball over more than he's getting assists.
And you can't count on him to play a full game.
Player.
Yes.
On the floor and off the floor.
With his time, no doubt.
Especially when you
I'm looking for
especially when you count the Boozer kid. You have DeBansta from BYU who looked really good last night. Let's talk about Darius Acuff, a kid who was in a walking boot 2 days ago, according to Rick Pitino, came out, played every minute of a double overtime game. That's 50 minutes, scored 48 points, and almost led his team to they lost 117-115. He played every fucking minute of that 50-minute game when he was in a walking boot 2 days ago. Darren Peterson would have been laid up for 3 weeks if he was in a walking boot. 3
weeks, you wouldn't have seen him until they started talking draft in June. Stop.
Yeah.
It would have been nuts. So, and I hate saying this because you think, oh, try to give the kid, how much benefit of the doubt can you give him? Segs, if I had a top 5 pick, I would not take him.
No,
unless you like
this class, especially.
No friggin' way.
You got Kingston Fleming.
He would be
Keaton Wagler from Illinois.
He would become a desperation pick for me in the top 5, knowing what I know about his want to and his fortitude towards playing and a teammate. He would be, gosh dang it, what do we do? Well, let's take a flyer. If I'm looking to build my team and know what I'm going to get out of somebody who loves to play and is doing it for the right reasons, as you just mentioned, nah, man, sorry, I'll pass on him. I'll take my chances because I think my chances are better passing on him to get success from somebody else than they are drafting a guy who I don't know from day to day if he's showing up.
Yeah,
and when he does, how much I'm going to get out of him. No thanks.
I think there are 7 freshmen that I would take ahead of Darren Peterson right now in this draft. And then if you're the 8th, 9th, 10th team and you want to take that shot because you believe he's number 1 pick worthy, I get it. But when you're talking about the kids I've named already, I would take all of them ahead.
Of course.
Of Darren
and it's
Peterson.
No hesitation, Sigs. No hesitation.
Right.
And One Republic 17, yes, I could spin it. There you go. Appreciate it. Thanks for the compliment, brother. Wish I could have played more.
He was all right. One Republic.
Yeah. Y'all do it a pinch.
He was no Davis Mills.
I could get a news for you. I knew how to play her. Oh, yes, I was. That's exactly who I was. Okay.
You were no.
Just a shorter neck. Yeah. Could win some games where he started.
Yeah. You definitely didn't have that neck. Nobody did. Well, Mike Glennon did, but other than him.
Hey, your boy Mike Glennon, good play. Good solid backup for a long time too.
Didn't even get my neck going that way. He was so.
Don't even try, Segs. Don't giraffe it, brother.
Or, I'll just tear something in my upper back and be done. No bet of the day today. There's no ranked college basketball games tonight. So
let's have a pit of futures. We're down 1-0. Aren't we down 1-0 in hockey right now?
Are we?
I think in the second period. Did I read somebody shorthanded goal? Who's why? Was it? Is it Dustin? Let's go back. Let me see. Did I see Segs and we roll back here? I thought I saw that he was watching hockey and listening to us and watching us as well at the same time, and said that I thought U.S. was on. Is U.S. I don't know what
they played
periods,
yesterday.
and I thought Yeah, no, but
No,
Canada score shorthanded 1-0.
that's
But that's a different game. I'm just saying he's watching hockey.
That's
What's
women's
that?
hockey. That's women's.
That's what I'm saying. Did I say men's? I meant he's watching
yeah,
women.
yeah,
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
men play tomorrow against
right.
Slovakia.
But the women,
I believe.
but the U.S. When I said U.S., I meant the females are playing, the women are playing. But so he's doing both. So we could bet on will the women come back and win? Say,
We'll see.
just you and I for here. You think they come back and win this?
So, yeah.
Do they win the gold medal? How's that? Give me a futures on that. Do the women win the gold medal?
Yes, I think they beat Canada, and I think or not Canada. I'm looking at the men's. The men's, we got Canada versus Finland tomorrow, and then the United States versus Slovakia. And the women's, we've got Switzerland already beat Sweden, and the United States are taking on Canada. So
and Canada is up 1-0 after a short-handed goal. That's what this whole thing started. Correct, Segs?
Screw Canada.
Is that what they say? No, there you go. Well, I'm with you, but we're talking hockey. Yeah, I think the Canadian women get beat, and the U.S. wins the gold medal in women's. We'll get to the men tomorrow.
Real quick, I don't know if you saw this. ESPN is doing away with Sunday Night Baseball. We will no longer have Sunday Night Baseball. And ESPN just bought the MLB package, which if you're going to go buy the MLB package and you weren't a customer last year, you have to buy the ESPN $30 a month plan just for the ESPN Plus or whatever it is. Then you have to go buy the MLB package. So you got to spend the $30 a month. That doesn't get you any baseball games. Then you got to go buy the package, the MLB package. So
I hate to say this, from when I was there and Crucker and Schilling was doing Sunday nights and Harold Reynolds, of Carl Ravitch and Studio and Baseball Tonight segs it bugs me, but they don't talk baseball for the most part on any show. They get it in the morning shows. They don't talk. They don't have enough baseball knowledge on there to talk it. They just don't. No focus. It bums me because if you're if you're what do we call them, the worldwide leader, how are you not talking and the baseball stuff and carrying baseball? I just don't get it. It's a bummer. So I think, did I see women's soccer? Yeah, women's sports Sunday.
So soccer and basketball.
And the truth is, Segs, when I was there, my baseball insight from all those guys talking in the newsroom and watching was always ESPN.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I got my baseball insight from ESPN. It's a bummer, man. It's a bummer because this time of year I love, and you and I both love baseball season. And unfortunately, I can't remember the last time I tuned into a show saying I'm going to get great baseball talk. They're better than that because they got a lot of talented people in that building. Their lack of commitment to baseball, maybe it's just simple ratings, but there's enough people who love it. But maybe enough people have checked out over the last few years because their lack of commitment to it, like on morning shows and the rest leading into games, it's just kind of it felt like it was just a back. Oh yeah, we'll talk some baseball. We got a game on Sunday night, and they haven't validated with all the other stuff. Where MLB Network is wall to wall. I think they missed it on this. Good for the women's sports; they're getting that Sunday focus. But if you've lost ratings, maybe it was because of what was going on in your house and not presenting a good enough product, as opposed to just getting rid of it because you don't think people are watching. People watch baseball, and you and I are at the top of that. We love it. It's a bummer, man. It's weird. It's weird.
It really is. All right, tomorrow we will run through USC's football schedule. Sean will give you kind of a breakdown of what he thinks of where games land, home and away, and we'll kind of just run through it and where USC stands because we've talked about how good they should be this year. Now, how does the schedule stack up in terms of wins and making that college football playoff next year, which will stay at 12 teams? We'll talk Texans. We'll talk NFL. Maybe the Bears have moved to Indiana. No, that won't happen that fast, but
never happening.
Not happening. And I'm sure Georgia linebackers or Georgia players in general will be arrested again.
Just give them all bikes and don't let them drive.
All bikes.
Give them all bikes. Matter of fact, give them the dual bike. What are those things called, Segs? When you got two people, the husband and wife are riding on it.
Two-person bike.
Are they two-person dual bikes? Whatever they are, give them those bikes and make a 10 one where 10 of the fellas are on one, 10 are on the other. You take the keys away. Treat them as if they're all drunk, but don't give them. You know how we had a party? You say, no, leave the keys here. We'll get you Uber home. But the 24/7, so they're not driving fast, putting other people in danger, even if they don't mind putting themselves in danger. Yeah, take away the keys, man. It's time to do something different. And you may have to start looking into suspensions if it continues. And I'm talking about suspensions in the coach's office if things don't change.
Should have been done a while ago. All right, we'll be back tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central. We'll be on just before the U.S. men's hockey takes the ice against Slovakia to get to that gold medal game. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about USC, Texans, and plenty more. We'll be back tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central. Peace.
UNPAVED, Sean Salisbury here. We're bringing authentic, real stuff to you. Hardcore opinion.
Sean Salisbury, a great NFL analyst, a former NFL quarterback.